On today's podcast, we're going to discuss all the new releases of Christopher Robin and The Spy Who Dumped Me, MoviePass pivots in film distribution with a Bruce Willis movie, and Global Road pulls City of Lies from its release schedule. Let's get started.
This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Silver Screen Insider.
Hi, everyone. This is Cody with Off the Break Podcast. I'm here with Eric and Kyle today.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
It's an exciting day today. We all went to a film this weekend. So the boys saw Christopher Robin, and I went to Spy Who Dumped Me. Total girl fun movie.
Nice.
Pretty bloody, I hear.
It is.
Nice.
It's kind of surprising. It's like this fun comedy with the like best friend girl power situation, and then all of a sudden people's heads are getting blown off. And so it's interesting. Lionsgate walked this really fine line of trying to be PG-13 to get a wider audience, but it's clearly got R-rated elements of violence in it. And so I don't know, I'm still trying to digest it, but I don't know if they walked that line very well.
Well, kind of in like was it just kind of unnecessary, do you think? Like
I just don't know.
I mean, you were talking about earlier, and I know you were saying that, you know, the vast majority of the movie works totally fine as just this PG-13 buddy comedy.
Yeah.
But then, for some reason, when there are these more action scenes, they felt the need to have gore, head explosions, and blood.
There were a couple scenes. This is a spoiler, review of
Spoiler
it.
warning.
Spoiler warning. Like one scene in particular, they're getting shot at, and there's a car chase, and their driver gets popped in the head, and then Mila Kunis's character Audrey has to climb over him and sit on his lap to drive the car, and it's just like this gross, and he still kind of has this bullet hole in his head in his dead body in the background. And I'm kind of like, maybe they could have shot him, not had so much spray blood, and then could have pushed his body out the door or something. That seems to be a good
and that makes sense.
Instead of sitting on his lap and driving.
Just kind of sounds like that part was played for the comedy, to make, because these girls, from what I've seen in the trailers, are out of their element. So to see all this out of the box action, blood and gore everywhere,
quite a bit of action in it, which is it almost is really surprising as well. Like the other spy agents, the male spy agents are just really badass, and the British one in particular just kicks butt, and you're like, what is going on? I just thought this was kind of a fun comedy. So it does have that juxtaposition, and it is funny, and I did laugh.
That's good to hear. I was excited for Kate McKinnon.
Yeah, my only expectation going into a film is that I laugh, and I did, and so I really enjoyed that. Kate McKinnon's character was great, but she does her, I don't know if she's getting pigeonholed into a comedy style, but she does her weird Kate McKinnon make weird noises.
Yeah, just kind of
yeah. And I was
I don't know how you describe that, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right, just kind of weird, and that is totally her character, but I feel like that was kind of her character in Ghostbusters, and and she is so much more talented than that. She doesn't do that nearly as much on SNL, and so I don't know why.
That is interesting. That's the kind of thing that people have latched onto, I guess.
Yeah.
It's no, she does so much more.
Yeah.
Right. She doesn't have to be so weird the whole time. She can just have snappy one-liners and feisty attitude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So definitely wasn't disappointed. It was really fun. I can see why maybe it's not going to be as big or hold up, but it was still extremely enjoyable, and I did laugh.
It seems to be following in the trend, because it was of R-rated comedies this year, because it opened at number 3, and I think that's where Tag opened. I think that's I can't remember where Blockers opened. I think that might have been a little lower, but
most of the comedies this year have made between 10 to 15 million on its opening weekend, and
they're in the
usually
top 5,
bottom 5 or top 5. So it's not too surprising to see Spy Who Dumped Me to be at that same.
Yeah, it seems to be doing
that same spot,
about the same as the other R-rated comedies, and it sounds like it was a totally decent movie too, so that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think for in the future for R-rated comedies to get to that number one spot, they truly have to be special.
I mean that kind of goes back to what we were. That's what Cody and I were talking about when you were gone. We were talking about how really, at least in my experience, I have a hard time recalling a rated R comedy that kind of got that like cultural zeitgeist as strong as The Hangover, because Cody mentioned everybody was going on about their wolf packs, and they're just basically it's about the memes. Memes were spawned. People would adopt kind of the in jokes of the movie in their own social circles,
right?
And I can't really think of an R-rated comedy that was that big or like that
in recent years.
Sensational. So now it just kind of seems like, since so much high quality comedies on small screens and streaming services, that in the movie theater, they really have to find something that stays with audiences after the movie, other than just I laughed a lot.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, like, comedies obviously need to sell on like how funny they are, and like that's what people go to the comedies for. But with R-rated comedies, it's just such a lightning in a bottle type of comedy that you really have to just find, like you guys were saying, that special gem that will make them memorable, like a Hangover, like a 21 Jump Street. So I can see where you guys are coming from. Like, we haven't had that in recent years, and who knows if we will. I mean, I'm sure maybe like one or two more will
some
come
movie
out
will
as
eventually
well,
come around, and
while.
it'll do that. It'll be huge, and then everybody's gonna start jumping on what it did. But yeah, as of right now, when people think of comedy, they think of things that they watch on Netflix or Hulu, because those just tend to be the better comedies anyways.
I will say this, and I've repeated this all year, that I think it has been a solid year for comedies. While I don't think they're going to be like the most memorable movies, like, they have been very good, that I would recommend people to try and check them out, whether it's in a theater or on streaming.
Yeah, I think after this, I can't think of anything from Spy Who Dumped Me that I would post as a meme and stuff. And and that's really like how audiences need to interact with it. So some comedy moving forward has to have its own brand and style and freshness to it for it to be big. But on another note, Christopher Robin surprisingly didn't take the number one spot. But
I
still
thought maybe
movie.
I had a chance, but I guess you can't stop Tom Cruise.
No.
But I know I gave my initial reactions, and I really, really liked it. So I was wondering what you thought of it, Kyle.
I liked it, but I don't think I liked it as much as probably you did. And I think that's going to be the big thing, or the big selling point about Christopher Robin, is that if you aren't a person that grew up with these characters, or if you just aren't that interested in these characters, I don't think you'll go out to see this. And I think that did hurt its opening numbers.
Are you not one of those people?
I mean, I grew up with a cartoon here and there, but I just never was really fully invested in these characters. But I do think there is still enjoyment in this movie, and I do think there is something for everyone, whether you just need something to go see or whether you want to bring your family to something. I do think this movie could be something that everyone could enjoy.
Okay, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think we were figuring out why Kyle is so heartless.
Yeah, I didn't have Winnie the Pooh in his formative years.
I know. There's not enough poo for you.
No, I don't know. It's the more I think about it, it still makes me warm and fuzzy inside. It was just so concerned with just this happy poo message, and that's all it tried to do.
Yeah,
and it did it fantastically. I loved the characters. I thought that they were brought to life effortlessly.
CGI was very well done on them too.
And I mean, Pooh's little like morning routine. I forget his little jingle that he sings to himself.
Down, touch the ground. No, wait, no, that's the honey one, isn't it?
No,
oh wait, no, that is the one.
Yeah, up, down, touch the ground. I can't remember how it goes, but that's the one.
Yeah, when he does that in the movie, you know it's coming, and then it happens, and you're like, oh my god, that couldn't have been any more perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I was just in a mood for like a. It kind of gave me like a Paddington type feeling.
My friend was saying that same thing.
It wasn't as like slapstick. The part where he gets like the honey on his feet and starts dragging that all over the house. I was like, oh god, no, please, please. That's so. It was painful to watch.
Yeah,
that was like the most Paddington it got. But the heart and just the I don't know. Yeah, the heart was there. It reminded me of Paddington, and I am crazy about those movies. So maybe that's why I liked it so much.
Well, and like I said, I think that will be like the big driving force of it. That and whoever has nostalgia for Winnie the Pooh, I think that those are really the selling points, especially from the numbers I've seen this weekend. So, but I mean, if this is up your alley, then please
I think the
go
older
see
you
it.
get, the wiser Pooh becomes.
Yeah,
I think that's what I was thinking the whole time.
There
I
were
love
a few
it.
lines.
Pooh's always like, I'm a bear of very few brains, and it's like, no, Pooh, no.
There were a few lines where I was like, oh yeah, that is too relatable now. Like,
they're
funny.
like these very true things that Pooh just, he just kind of says off the cuff. He doesn't know how significant or like depressingly real they are. But he just says them because they're true. And it's like, oh god, what have I become? I need to go home and play with all my stuffed animals.
Yeah.
Okay, for a spoiler alert, I want to know, do the Winnie the Pooh characters end up with a daughter at the end? Does
they
she
end up
get
with the whole family.
The whole family?
Yeah, Christopher Robin, his wife, his daughter, they all go into the 100-acre wood.
And they just live there?
Well, I don't think they live there, but it's
they
implied
visit?
that, this is a new thing that they can do together. Because there's a running subplot where Christopher Robin's daughter is about to go off to boarding school like he did when he was a kid, but she doesn't want to. But he can't see that because in his mind, he's like, this is what I did. This is what kids are supposed to do. It'll prepare her for adulthood because he's this jaded, cynical adult. But then at the end, he realizes, oh, if she doesn't want to do that, I'm not going to make you do that. And they all go back to the cottage, and it ends with them in the 100-acre wood, and it's beautiful.
Oh,
yeah,
it's like the happiest possible ending.
The third act went a lot better than I thought I would, and like towards the end, when you like see them all playing in the 100-acre wood, I'm like, oh, that like,
I was
sweet.
expecting like a really bittersweet final shot where like maybe Christopher Robin waves to Pooh as he goes back into the 100-acre wood for like the last time, and Christopher Robin will never see them again. But no, it was such a happy ending.
Yeah,
okay.
It worked.
Super depressing
really
opening,
well.
Incredibly happy ending.
The ending did get me, or the beginning did get me too. I will.
Yeah, my God.
Like you're seeing all of these classic drawings coming to life, but it's telling like a sad story about what's been going on with Christopher Robin. And
it's basically just a time lapse.
You're just like, oh no, don't do that.
Well,
don't go to boarding school. Don't like. Don't.
Well, it's just the idea of watching like yourself grow up, and then you just slowly stop doing these things that you used to love.
Stop
doing.
being a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really depressing.
Oh.
But then the rest of the movie is showing like, no, that's not. You have all the power to prevent that from happening. You're not different. You just, you're just older.
Nice. Well, sounds like it's something that definitely families and older adults will really like. And
yeah.
And
continue to go see.
I am totally admitting I probably like this a lot more than most people. I'm sure a lot of people would like, no, that was a really, really good movie. Mm-hmm. But I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. Well, good. Well, we'll have to see how the next batch of movies this week play up. I kind of feel like Christopher Robin will probably have a lot of legs compared to like the Meg, and we're getting
especially with August, like it's just so slow.
Yeah, what else
I
is
do
coming
see it
out with
having
the
staying
Meg?
power.
We're
We
getting
have
out
the
of all
Slenderman.
the Slenderman and we're getting out of all the A titles.
Yeah, I didn't think I'm surprised Slenderman's actually here.
Tomorrow, Dog Days of Summer opens up in select theaters on a Wednesday opening. Which
cool.
Oh yeah, that kind of like New Year's Eve or Valentine's Day or Love Actually, but with
multiple
dogs.
stories intertwining around the dogs. Yeah, that opens, and I think there's something else, but can't recall right off the top of my head. Anyways, moving on to the big news, we have more changes with our movie passes and how this affects the industry.
I'm so done talking about movie
I know.
passes.
It's so bad, but something new keeps happening.
No, I will talk about it
crazy.
every time something new comes up. I'm just, I don't know.
A little part of you will just keep dying and dying.
So
I just think back. I'm like, I was with you towards the beginning.
Yeah.
What have you become?
So the latest is 3 movies a month.
Yeah, basically they
standard.
Mitch Lowe was like, we heard our fans. We heard basically code for, okay, guys, we heard your outcry. We'll go back on that. So they're walking back the
peak pricing is
the peak
gone.
pricing is gone.
The verification is gone.
The ticket stub,
which we all knew that was stupid and that had to go.
All of
Agreed.
Less than a month. They're bumping the price back down to $9.95 instead of like $14.95, I think.
Right.
And they are going back on the 2-week blackout period.
Yeah.
But just the wording on it, I'm not sure what they mean by that, because I still wouldn't be surprised if, a major Disney movie is not available.
Right. They said there would be exceptions, and I have a feeling
there's probably going to be a lot of exceptions.
It's easy as we're going into fall because there's not going to be the big blockbuster releases until November.
Yeah, how convenient.
Oh, and so they're probably like, yeah, and we'll go 3 movies a month. Well, there's probably not 3 movies in the next 3 months that you're going to want to see, period, let alone, consistently each month. So it's very easy for them to kind of go back to their old model. But, when Fantastic Beasts comes out and Wreck-It Ralph and Aquaman and all these big films at the end of the holiday corridor, I won't be surprised if we get you can't go on opening weekend.
Yeah. Well, again, there's also no time frame to judge when this is supposed to go into effect, because I opened up the MoviePass app and sure enough, Christopher Robin, Mission Impossible are still blacked out. Maybe that's because they were already blacked out before they decided to reverse all of this stuff. And so maybe it's just too late for them. But I guess it'll be interesting to see.
Technically, you're off the break with those. So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the Meg is blocked out.
Yeah, we'll just have to watch how it goes. But I really think that what they're doing is experimenting with their model in real life and just yanking users around it. And how much experimentation can people take?
Well, it's okay though, because everything will be remedied when their blockbusters smash with 10 minutes gone or something with Bruce Willis is released next year.
So instead of getting their subscription model working, they are pivoting into distribution, because that's so easy.
We're so many for that too.
We make movies now.
There's so many distribution companies out there.
Yeah, I guess at Sundance they announced a kind of like a branch off of their business called MoviePass Ventures. And their model is basically to co-acquire movies with other distributors and bring high-quality content to their subscribers. So their first movie was American Animals, which I don't think really did anything.
It didn't do anything, but I've actually heard some good feedback.
Yeah, critically,
they're probably
a lot of people found a lot to like.
If they're finding these films at film festivals like Sundance and stuff, they're probably very, very good films.
Well, they did follow that up with the John Travolta Gotti movie, which had its own little mini controversy where they, accused.
With MoviePass? No.
Well, it's marketing campaign in the trailers. It's like the movie that the critics hated, but the audience loved. Whose side are you on?
Yeah, I remember all that.
This is really embarrassing. And then I think they did. Oh, I can't remember. They had one other movie.
You were saying there was a sorority movie they did, or
The Row. I had seen like a picture of it. I thought it was it looked like a $3 movie bin Walmart find.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, The Row, just a generic slasher film set at a sorority.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know if their track record's that great.
I don't think it's gonna be when you get started, but
exactly.
Movie distribution is actually very difficult and very costly, and the fact that they couldn't even pay for their subscription, and blocked people off and cut people off on their service. Wouldn't you, as a producer, be like, I just don't know if you have money?
Yeah, maybe we should save because Bruce Willis probably
now Bruce Willis's name is attached to this.
So they're like, maybe we could spare the Bruce Willis and use that money to not have to borrow $5 million because we ran out of money.
Right. I think it varies a little about how involved MoviePass Ventures is with their films, like whether they're investing a lot of money in them or if they're just slapping their name just to slap their name.
It's hard to tell how.
Or maybe they're giving deals.
All in they are.
You get buy one get one free tickets to the MoviePass.
Yeah,
things.
There's a bunch of little things like that
going on.
I still think it's dumb.
No, I think it's incredibly dumb.
I especially right now with how badly they're going under right now. I don't think they should be handling that stuff right now.
Well, it's also, I wonder how the timing of it lines up, because this movie is supposed to start shooting like the second week of September. So maybe that they had already invested all this money in this, weeks before the
publicity,
the big crash. So who knows? Maybe that was already in effect.
Yeah, maybe.
And they probably won't be repeating that, at least for a while.
Hopefully.
But I just think it's funny that this story broke like less than a week after.
I was kind of questioning if they were going to actually show these films in theaters, or if this is a way for them to get into the streaming and to stream exclusive content on their MoviePass apps.
That'll be interesting. I know American Animals was a limited theatrical run. Gotti was, I guess.
Yeah.
But that didn't really last very long.
I suspect that it will be for a limited release, because I don't understand what the outcome would be for them if they just threw it on their app and be like, go watch on their app.
Yeah, well, I mean, in their statement,
why would you have to go to the theater then?
In their statement, they said, going back, yes, they want to bring high quality content to their users, but they said that they want to bring high quality content to their subscribers in the theater. So I think their long-term goal is, limited theatrical runs.
I question it.
I question all of their long-term plans, though.
After the CEO came out and said the reason they're struggling is because theaters are price gouging. And the theaters said, hey, this is the cost of doing business in reality. We have, these locations that require a lot of overhead and maintenance, and we have studios that are taking a big chunk of our box. So,
yeah.
Where this is just why a movie ticket is so expensive, and then for the CEO to come out and say that their price gouging is just really adversarial.
It just seemed like another one of their empty, reasonings, because they just don't want to say, again, they just don't want to say like, yeah, guys, we screwed up. We really still don't know what we're doing. We're trying to figure that out. They're just throwing every other possible excuse out there, trying to make themselves look better.
Just as a theater,
but it's totally the opposite.
As a theater owner and operator, I'd be so leery of anything MoviePass does, because they've shown that they're not really partners with theaters. They're not trying to save the theater industry. They're just trying to find ways to manipulate the exhibition industry for their own personal gain.
Yeah.
And so I think anything they do with these films, you've got to take caution with them, and can really consider playing them, anything associated with MoviePass, because they're there to upend you and get between you and as a theater owner and manager and the consumer and the money. They're trying to wedge themselves into that. So just have to watch how these things go. And the same caution with Amazon streaming or any Netflix day and date films. I mean, this is just the reality of business moving forward, and you're just going to have to be really cautious with the content you put in your theater and what that means for the theater's bottom line.
Yeah, agreed.
As far as films that we will not be seeing in theaters, apparently the Johnny Depp film City of Lies got pulled from the release schedule.
Yeah, Global Road was just like, let's just
and I
take
wonder
that off there.
Let's repeat that. Global Road,
right?
Who did Show Dogs, decided to pull this.
Yeah, they were confident enough in Show Dogs, but apparently Johnny Depp investigating the murder of the Notorious B.I.G. was, I don't know, a little iffy.
Well, it coincides with a on-set lawsuit that's being brought against Johnny Depp. But I also think that, again, this could be playing into how streaming is disrupting the exhibition side of the industry.
Oh, I absolutely think it is.
When you pull what otherwise would be fine films from a release schedule, or maybe interesting or that kind of lower level film from the release schedule, you just have to wonder if maybe they didn't get a better streaming deal down the road and you won't see it pop up on Netflix
I wouldn't
or
rule
Amazon.
out, next year we see City of Lies hitting Netflix or something.
Yeah.
Like what happened to Mowgli.
Right.
Because, yes, it's easy to say because Johnny Depp went and wailed on some crew member and then got sued, that's the reason why they took the movie off. But
I'm so suspicious that
yeah, I mean, that probably didn't help at all.
Yeah.
But I just can't shake the feeling that it's probably a lot less glamorous than that. It's just business.
More numbers driven.
Yeah.
It just makes you wonder, moving forward, are you going to question every time there's a change on the release schedule? Like it destabilizes some of that future market and planning that goes into, okay, am I going to support Global Road in the future? Am I going to invest in Global Road and show their product in my theaters, or am I worried?
How do I know that they're not just going to dump it all on Netflix?
Yeah, and that they're really only there for today and date with Netflix, and so yeah, it's cause for concern. I think it's something that as an industry we have to kind of start looking at and being like, okay, well, if you're starting to, as a studio, shelve what otherwise would be fine product, it's one thing to shelve your worst product and send it to streamers, but if you start sending what could be quality product, and I don't know if City of Lights is that or not,
utter garbage for all we know.
But if you start sending what could be quality product or is perceived to be quality product to streamings because it's cheaper on your end, and you've devalued the theater further, I mean, what's that going to do for industry and for movie theaters going forward? So
yeah,
we'll just have to wait and see what this does and take caution with all of these things. But I think you're going to be start seeing more and more of these films being on the release schedule, getting all the publicity, and then if something kind of goes negative or it's not gaining any momentum on their digital media marketing, I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing a few of these it's gonna slough off.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, this is probably hyperbole, but going forward, it's gonna be interesting because people will get excited for a movie, but then at the back of their mind, they're always gonna be wondering, like, am I actually gonna be able to see this in the theater?
Maybe this will be streaming, and I won't have to pay for it. And I don't want consumers thinking that. I want them excited for the theater, and I want them to be like, I need to see this in the theater. I need to pay money for it, and I need to be a part of it culturally and event-like.
That's absolutely how I feel about it. But how realistic is that?
Right? Maybe we're fighting a losing battle on this, but I think the theaters need to start stepping up and making each and every movie that they do get more fun and event-like, and that means that they need to make their venues a place that people want to spend money in.
Oh yeah, no, you gotta make the theater something that you can't get at home.
Yeah,
because people love their cozy couch that are molded to their butts and their the TVs that they hand-picked. So you gotta compete with that somehow.
And the quiet and not having certain crowds and it's so much upheaval coming into our industry in the next few years. We just really got to watch it and mitigate it, and theaters really got to step up, because if they don't, then streaming is going to be knocking on the back door for this good product.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either. I don't want to ever see.
It's not like the good old days.
A Christopher Robin or even like a Spy Who Dumped Me. I want to go to the theater and see those. I don't want to stay home on my couch and watch them by myself and not be able to like look over to somebody next to me and be like, wasn't that great? That was great. Let's talk
also
about
for
that.
me, when I watch things like at home, they kind of just blend with all the other stuff you watch at home.
Yeah.
So like sometimes, you'll be watching YouTube up on your TV and then you switch your app over to Netflix or something, and then there's just something missing there. It's like it feels a lot less special or grand.
No presentation, no showmanship, no presentation.
Nope.
And you just can't create that at home.
No.
Well, on that note, on that reflective note, this week I think we're looking forward to the Meg coming out.
Yep. I'll be seeing that one probably.
Probably seeing those early shows, and then I don't know. We'll have to see if we see anything else this weekend.
Yeah. Well.
But we'll be back Friday.
You'll hear
hopefully,
about it on Friday
with some more news, our predictions for the weekends, and our reactions to the movie.
Awesome.
All right, take care, everyone.
See you.